Welcome everyone. So my name is Nan Liang, and I'm one of the senior marketing and recruitment officers here at the Alliance Manchester Business School. So a big welcome to everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's part-time MBA alumni and student panel webinar. And I'm so glad to see so many of you here today from all over the world. And today we are very, very fortunate to be joined by our alumnus Ricardo Ferreira and our current student Abby, as well as my colleague Katrina Clark from the MBA Marketing and Recruitment team. Unfortunately, one of our panelists, Fraser Stud, is not able to join us today as he's not feeling very well. And we hope he gets well soon and hope we can see him in our next event. So just a bit of housekeeping before we start the session. And this webinar is being recorded, and just to minimize the interruption, you are all on mute and your cameras are off. We do encourage this to be a very, very interactive session. So please do put any of your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen as we go through the webinar. And Katrina and I will definitely address those questions at the end of this session. So, okay, I think this is pretty much everything from my side. And thank you very much again for your time. And I hope you enjoy the session. So over to you, Katrina.
Great. Thank you so much, Nan. And I'd like to extend my welcome to you all. So thank you for joining us wherever you are today. And a great welcome to Ricardo and Abby, who are taking time out of their busy days to join us. Although, Ricardo, I think it's a bank holiday where you are. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Even more big start for you. So I'd love to start with introductions. So Ricardo and Abby, over to you. Just a brief intro from each of you, please.
Okay, I'll jump in. So my name is Ricardo. I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal. I have finished my Global Executive MBA with Manchester Alliance Business School. And I'm now working on a startup company. It was a career change and I wanted to do something different. And actually the MBA was quite helpful on that, from electrical vehicles and touristic applications, basically.
Thanks, Ricardo. My name is Abby and I'm based in Manchester. I work as a VP for BNY Mellon. It's an investment bank here in Manchester as well. I am on the Global MBA. I started in January and I'm due to finish end of next year. So yeah, work in financial services.
Fantastic. Thank you both. So maybe if we start at the beginning of the MBA journey for you both, maybe if you take yourself, I know it was probably a while back for you, Ricardo, but put yourself back at the start of when you started thinking about MBA study. How did you think the MBA was the right qualification for you? What brought you to an MBA in terms of your personal and professional development?
Well, I worked in the corporate business for a while. I was channel manager for a couple of companies. And at the time, we feel that we need to grow a little bit more if you want to reach some next level. And it was also a personal ambition to do so. I've been willing to do it for the last 5-6 years, but time was never the right timing to do so. So I took the decision and I jumped in doing the MBA. Basically, I chose Manchester like everyone else. When they choose this path and try to do an MBA, they look around and see, what's in the market, what would be the best option for me. And I did the same, tried different universities, look at different perspectives. And when I choose Manchester was exactly because it fits, you have to feel that it fits your profile. It fits what you are looking for. If you have, a working job, if you have time is of essence, so everything needs to be well coordinated. And as well, the way it was designed, we could go all over the world and see how people interact with each other, how business is done in different parts of the world. And that was basic. And of course, it's Manchester, a top school. So that was also very relevant to my decision. And there we are, 2 years later.
Amazing. And Abby, you said you are based in Manchester, so you're based locally. Did you consider other institutions? Was Manchester an easy choice for you?
Well, so I did consider all the, other universities or business schools around, the Northwest.
Hmm.
Because personally, one thing for me was sort of the convenience. I'm a mom of two young children, so I needed, fine, it had to be a school of great repute, but at the same time, that convenience or close to home factor played in as well. And Manchester ticked all the boxes for me.
Great. And you mentioned you work in financial services. Had you considered other qualifications, or again, did you feel that the MBA was at the right sort of stage in terms of your career?
Yes. So I've got a master's in financial forecasting and investment, which I did a while back. And for me, the MBA was sort of the next level in terms of career development, obviously, and personal growth and development as well. So yeah, the MBA was naturally the next choice for me, I think.
Fantastic. So if we move on and talk about something you touched on, Ricardo, in terms of the program itself. So I'm sure a lot of the audience will be joining us today wondering, how two people like you, clearly very busy lives, busy personal lives, how do you embark on a study that will require for you to combine, work, life, as well as doing an MBA? So you talked about the program structure, Ricardo. So how did you find in terms of embarking on an MBA whilst working full time and, of course, having a family?
Well, I'm not going to lie. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge that it can be done. I can give you my example. I got twins when I almost started, and my wife was doing a PhD. So
Oh
imagine
gosh.
how it's, but you can manage. You just have to, kind of be a little bit disciplined and organize yourself. And the program itself, the way the workshops were run, the way the lectures were assigned to the students, there's a lot of cooperation. There's a lot of team spirit in the teams, in the cohorts. So that helped. That helped a lot. And it's very practical. So you really need to push it hard when you do your workshops. So the way you interact with teachers, the way you bring your experience in and you learn from other people's experience, I think that's the value. And you can program it in your life that you can actually do it. Don't leave everything to the end. Everyone has done that. I'm sure of it, but don't leave it because then the pressure is high. It can be done really easygoing if you follow, Manchester University. They bring great guidelines on how to make it happen. Sometimes you don't believe it in the beginning, but as you go along, it actually works. So don't be afraid of it. Yeah, it's challenging. I'm not saying it's not. That's why it's an MBA. But if you embrace it, it's really, really doable.
Great. And Abby, over to you. So you said, you've got two young children, and we're obviously trying to encourage more and more women to join the program, or probably at the time in their lives where they do have young families. Did you find, as Ricardo mentioned, that support group almost within your cohort of people in a similar position to you?
Yeah, absolutely. You work with people from sort of diverse background. You've got moms like myself on the court as well, who sort of understand you. And one thing that I need to add also is the support on the home front as well. So it had to be a decision between myself and my husband to say, look, this is my time to do this, and I need you to pick up things with home front where I'm not, 100% for you. And I think it's worked that way because, like Ricardo said, the workshops are, hands-on, 100%, so it can be challenging at times, but you've got the support from your cohorts, obviously, and then the home front support is really, really essential as well.
Of course. So what was your typical week like? I mean, just for the audience's information, we do recommend a minimum of 10 hours per week in terms of self-study. Did you feel that you averaged that, Abby, or did you feel that each week was different?
I would say each week was different. There were some weeks where I'll put in more hours, and there's some weeks, I guess it's trying to balance things out. You would know personally what works for you, what works around your family dynamics, you know, and just ensure that you balance things out and make sure that you're putting in the hours either way, maybe up high this week, low this week, but make sure that you're balancing things out as much as possible.
And how was it for you, Ricardo? Did you feel that sort of you had a strict timetable that you had to stick to, especially with having you know, twins at home, or was it again a little bit of ups and downs?
I would love to have a strict schedule, but it's never possible. Like Abby was saying, some weeks you do, you know, more hours. Other weeks you do one full weekend, 24 hours. You close yourself, and that's it, because you have to manage your time, and then you have your work as well. You have other priorities that you have to manage. So it's really, I think it's like Abby said, each case is very specific. It's very individual. The biggest advantage is when you go on the workshop, it's 100%. That's it. That's your time. You use all the hours available to make it happen while having fun. Don't forget that. It's really important that you have fun while doing it.
I love, Ricardo, how you're gently moving me along the webinar. Every time before I'm due to ask a question, you talk about it, because my next question was going to be about workshops. So would you like to tell us a little bit about the workshop experience? Like you said, it's 100%. What is it really like being on campus?
Okay, on the Global Executive MBA, or Executive Global MBA, as you want to call it, we go around in different campuses, you know, from Dubai, Singapore, Manchester, or even Hong Kong or Shanghai. So it's the whole experience is really interesting, because your cohort is generally from all over the world, different people, different experiences, different cultural backgrounds, and I think when we go to the end of the MBA, I truly believe that was the biggest challenge and the biggest outcome, is how to interact with 25 leaders from all over the world, trying to do a workshop in teams. Okay, that's the challenge. So you have to really, really embrace them, get them to know them, trying to understand their strengths, their weakness, and work that off. You know, some groups, some disciplines, some courses, you are better than others. So you assign people differently. And if you can do that, you will succeed for sure, because you take the strengths, the best out of everyone. And that's the challenge. You know, people are people. So I'm sure you have different situations in your work, in your families, where you disagree with some points. The trick is to find balance. You know, sometimes you have to step back. You know, even managing companies for a couple of years, but sometimes just step back, let other people in, and sometimes it's the other way around. And that's the spirit, and that's the outcome you get, because in real life, you will face it. And
Right.
And then have fun at the end, always, because it's
so
like
important.
You know, it's really decompressing. It's very, you know, some workshops are really, really hard. A lot of hours, a lot of assignments that you have to do in very few hours. So if you don't decompress, like going out, having a drink, whatever, that's something really I can say to you, it's as much as important as actually work really hard on the workshops.
Great. So for the benefits of the audience, so Ricardo had completed the Global Executive MBA, and as he mentioned, there is a compulsory campus rotation. Whereas on the global program that Abby joined in January, there is the optional campus rotation, which comes at the elective stage. So is this something you've considered, Abby, going forward in the program?
Yes. So we're just at the stage, well, it's actually past deadline now, but we've submitted, you know, for the January term, the electives that will be, you know, taken next half year. And I've chosen one to take in Dubai.
Amazing.
Yeah, so, you know, that's an opportunity to see members of my cohort who are based in the Middle East campus. And yeah, looking forward to it.
Great. And just touching a little bit more on the program. So we talk a lot on our website and our literature on how practical the program is something that you both mentioned already during the session. So do you feel that you did have a takeaway probably from each workshop that you were able to maybe apply in your daily lives, in your professional lives, or something that certainly allowed you to see things from a different perspective in your work? I don't know if you'd like to comment on that, Abby.
Absolutely. You know, every single workshop has added one value or the other to me personally, whether it be in my professional environment or in my personal environment, you know, as an investor, as an entrepreneur, you know, even as a mom and wife. Stories that I take home, like, okay. And then obviously that critical thinking bit is, I think, the key for me, which the AMBS has sort of given me, even though I'm just almost halfway into my program. I think the way I think about subjects or I think about a particular topic has actually changed. That critical thinking and applying that critical sort of mindset is really, really key. And I think that's, personally, that's one of the top things I've taken away so far from the program.
And how about you, Ricardo? Anything to add?
No, you know, like Abby said, it's a mind opener. I have no doubt that when you enroll in this program and when you finish, you will think differently. You will have different perspectives on what you thought it was the right thing to do. And that is just mind-blowing when you go to the end and see, what the hell, you know, I thought this was the right way. And no, there's so many different perspectives to look at things. And that's what AMBS is doing. It's opening our minds and let us and put us think differently and more accurate. So that was quite impressive. That was the idea when I joined the MBA, but when you see the results, it's like, okay, it's really made it. So that is really important, because what they teach and what they provide in terms of information is actual facts, things that are happening now, and things that, you know, it will update your mind of what is happening in the world, you know, the global world as we live in. So yeah, that was really something really interesting to watch during the 2 years of the MBA, or 1 year and a half.
Great. And just to give Abby a little flavor of the international electives, which center was your favorite, Ricardo, during your campus rotation? Do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite. Well, I like them all, but Singapore is actually the one I enjoyed the most. You know, of course it will depend on which courses you will be taking, but it was the most interesting in terms of work dynamics. It was probably the hardest one of them all in terms of workload, but also the one that we had because it was the third co-work. So just to understand, as you move along, you make friends. That's imperative. Your co-work will become your friends. And as more workshops you have, the more, how can I say, the more connected you are. So you understand each other. It's even easier to do the workshops because you're actually starting to know the people and understand their weakness and their strengths. So that's why it was really interesting, because it was our last international workshop and everyone was completely aligned on what we have to do. And that was, you know, for me was quite interesting, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
And Singapore is great as well. So
great. So you talked there about network, about making connections, making friends. Abby, would you like to share with us your experience? I know you only started in January. Do you feel like you are making those connections in your class?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dubai, for instance, I know I'm talking to a few people who were planning the trip together. So we already started, and outside obviously Dubai. So I've got, you know, members of my cohort who live in Ghana, who live in Canada. I'm like, okay, when next time in that place, I'm definitely staying at yours. You're taking me around. So it's just those.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. And you talk there about diversity. Do you feel that diversity also translates into professional backgrounds? Did you both feel that you did have that mix of people you would not typically meet in your professional network?
Absolutely. You know, we've got doctors, we've got engineers, we've got HR personnel. Like, I feel, you know, from coming from financial services and knowing just financial services people to then having this wide array of individuals from different backgrounds is really great to see. I don't think there's anyone else, you know, sort of in investment banking in my cohort, for instance. Like, it's so diverse. And yeah, it's brilliant to see that perspective, that global perspective coming into the workshops.
Fantastic. We've actually got our first question from the audience, so please do keep them coming. So we've got somebody asking quite an interesting question, actually. How did your employers, how did your company feel about you embarking on an MBA? Were they supportive in any way, or did they feel that it was a distraction? Ricardo, maybe starting with you.
I can start. I did my MBA by myself. It was a self-funded because I really wanted to do. But I can tell you on the employee perspective, if I have my team doing an MBA, I would be very supportive. And I can tell you for sure that most of the companies will be supportive of that. It becomes an additional challenge for you because you really have to balance the work on the company and the work on the MBA. Okay, so it will, you know, be an additional, let's say, organization that you will have to plan so that you don't jeopardize your company performance over the MBA. And I can tell you, it is really possible to do. The program is designed, from my understanding, to actually be able to engage in company responsibilities and your workload responsibilities and the MBA. And we have examples in our cohort as well. They were actually subsidized by the company, and they did really, really well as well. So it's really doable.
And how about you, Abby? Did you feel any impact in terms of your employee support?
Yes. So I think one thing that worked very well for me was that I was very open right from the beginning. So my manager knew it's something I wanted to do. So when the opportunity came up, you know, I approached her again. And obviously, because as part of the application process, your manager has to sort of send a reference. So she knew that that was coming. And, you know, she was happy to support me in that journey. I find myself discussing my assignments with her in my one-to-one, which is, you know, really great. And she's sort of giving me an opportunity as well to discuss some of the findings, you know, from workshops, for instance, in leadership team meetings, you know, especially when I've done an analysis on my organization. So I think, you know, my advice would be very open and honest with your employers, especially if this is something you want to do. And I'm sure that, you know, every reasonable employer would see you as an asset to that organization, and they'll be happy to support you.
Great. Just talking about your experience overall, if you were to select a challenge and a highlight, who would like to give that one a go?
Challenge. Let me start. The challenge is, if you don't study for the last 20 years, the first semester, it's a challenge. Not because of the knowledge. It's because when you write academic essays, it's a different perspective. Okay, it's just different. MBA has amazing tools to put you back on track and put you back on the way how to write academic essays. But yeah, in the beginning, for you to adapt to the shift, it's a bit of, you need to really embrace it. You look at the guidelines, look at how it does, and when you compare your first essay with your last one, you will see a huge difference on the way you write.
You're laughing, Abby. Did you agree?
100%. 100%.
Are you remembering your first essay? Is that where the laughter is coming from?
So, but it's a normal thing. If you don't study for a long time, it happens. And the biggest highlight is actually, you will, in my case, because, you know, we have mandatory workshops around the world with different people. It's actually, we live in a global world. So you learn how to deal with different cultural approaches, different people, and they do things differently just because there's a cultural barrier that you need to break down. And having that understanding and, you know, knowing when to do something or to set back or to move forward or how to engage with them to make the best out of it, that was the highlight. It only came out really, really in the end, because that's when you go back and see, okay, that's a big change from the beginning. But the way you engage with people, the way you can interact with people from different parts of the world and understand them personally and business-wise, that was really, really interesting, really amazing.
How about you, Abby?
Yeah, I'll start with the highlights for me. It's the people that I've met so far, you know, the quality of people that I've met so far. I think it's really, really important, especially in this world. You sort of it's important, you know, to network, to have, you know, a quality network around you. And I think that that's something AMBS gives you. So that's definitely my highlight so far. Maybe when I go to Dubai or Singapore, I might change my mind. So far, that is it. And yeah, the challenge, just like Ricardo, yeah, it's changing your mindset to writing, you know, a business or a business document at work to an academic paper. You're like, oh, okay. I need to reference this. I need to do this. You know, it's absolutely, yeah, that first sort of essay, I think that was the challenge, the struggle, but over time it gets better. And yeah, like Ricardo said, you compare your first one, like, what was I thinking? How did I manage to produce this? But yeah, it does get better.
Fantastic. Well, actually got another question from the audience. Tell us something about the teaching staff, the academics. I don't know if you want to pick a specific academic that made an impression on you, or just share some thoughts about the teaching experience on the course.
I'm going to go general because I don't think it needs to be specific. You know, you will probably grade the teachers and their efficiency and effectiveness according with the likes of the course. You know, if you really
very true.
If you're really into certain specific topic, you know, either leadership, management, financial, whatever, you will for sure really enjoy that specific course. Because the way the teaching is done, it's very, very open. It basically is not really a teaching; it's a discussion. You know, every moment when you are in class, you can bring your own ideas, your own examples, what happened in your corporations, and they are debated there with other people, and you know, trying to understand and make an analysis of, you know, best outcomes or what failed, what went wrong, and what went good. So this is the spirit. It's not the traditional sitting class where someone slides 100 PowerPoints of information. Okay. It's really engaging because sometimes we stop in a slide for an hour just discussing a topic because it raises so many questions in the cohort that everyone wants to have their perspective analyzed. And that's the thing. You probably learn 50% out of the slides and 50% out of what other people engage in the class. And it becomes really dynamic. So if you enroll, don't be shy to bring your perspectives in class. There is no judgment whatsoever. And every piece of information is knowledge that we share with each other.
Great. And Abby, I don't know if you would like to add to that, and maybe also comment on the online experience. You know, we've not really talked about that yet on this session, but of course it is a big part of both programs, both the global and the global executive program. So I don't know if you'd like to touch on that, Abby.
Well, Ricardo sort of touched on he touched on you know, everything about the lecture and how the workshops are delivered. So the online lectures, I guess, are, you know, at the start of a term, you get your timetable, you know, the dates, you know, that you're having online lectures or virtual workshops, for instance. You have that in advance, so you can sort of prep for that. they're usually on Saturdays or Sundays, you know, and there's 2 sessions as well. There's a 12 noon session and there's a 5 p.m. session. So you can either attend any of those. And obviously, if you can't make it, the sessions are recorded as well for you to catch up on. They also have office hours, you know, where the lecturer will just pop into a meeting room like this, and you can just pop in and ask those questions as well. So I think those are really, really useful. So it's not just, they're not sort of recorded sessions and given to you to click on a link, and you actually speak to a real lecturer, a real person, you know, in real time, and you can sort of ask those questions and interact with people. And to be honest, the online lectures are very interactive as well, because, you know, there's always discussions around the topic as well. So yeah.
Great. Another question from the audience. I think we've got quite a few people who are at the start of their MBA journey and the MBA research. Do you have any sort of advice retrospectively, if you think back to the time when you were looking at MBAs, thinking about which school is best to apply for? Do you have any advice for our audience who are at the start of their journey in terms of trying to find the right program for them?
Well, in my case, it was like, not everything is gut feeling, but you have to feel that it's the proper program for you. And you probably instantly, when you look at it, you will see it's the right one. You have to understand, you know, where you are located. If it's physical, if it's a full-time MBA, for example, for me, I couldn't do it. It was impossible with family, with work. It was just not possible. So you have to find the right program. You have to find the right, compatible with your lifestyle. And this is what I found with MBA. It's a compatible platform, MBA, that allow you to do both things simultaneously without jeopardizing any of them. So I think it was built quite interestingly well, because exactly it fits the current needs of professionals that are advancing in their career, or they are established professionals that have to manage really well their time. So this is my advice. You need to feel it is the right one for you.
Of course. How about you, Abby? Any words of wisdom for our listeners?
Well, one
viewers
thing to myself was that if I don't start, 2 years is gonna come and go, and I would be in the same position. So, and I think that's sort of what motivated me to start. And yeah, I'm almost halfway into it. So if you've obviously ticked all the boxes that Ricardo mentioned, just go for it. Just go for it. You know, in 2 years' time, whether you start or not, 2 years would have passed. So
sure. It's interesting. People are really listening to you, Abby, because somebody just asked a question saying, when is the best time to do an MBA in your career? When do you know that it's the time to do it, now or never? Did you reach that moment in either of your careers where you thought, I have to do this now? It makes sense.
It makes total sense, and I delayed it for like 4 years, in my opinion. The best timing to do an MBA should be between 35, 37 years old, which means that you have already a lot of it. Well, I'm talking about the executive MBA, which is a little bit different, a bit more senior. But it's when you have enough experience in your professional life that you can actually really, really embrace it well, in my view, and share it with other people. So doing an MBA after a master's degree, or it's just, you know, you don't take so much advantage of it, in my view. So doing it, you know, in the peak of your professional development, when you are growing, when you get promoted every year or so, that's the time that will help you go through it, in my opinion. But again, I went late, and it was an ambition. So, but again, there's people from, not just from different backgrounds, there's people from different ages. You know, my oldest cohort partner and friend was almost 60. So just to give you, and that is a different perspective it brings to the table. Okay, I think the mix is also very, very interesting.
Great. How about you, Abby? You clearly did it at the right time. You didn't wait those extra 2 years.
Well, yes, I attended an open day session in the University of Manchester about, was it 5 years ago now?
Oh my God.
At that time, after hearing, the structure and everything, I knew I wasn't ready for it yet.
Okay.
I think it goes back to the point Ricardo mentioned. You would know when you're ready for it. Apart from that as well, you need to understand that the MBA is not just, a master's where it's purely academic. You need to bring some experience to the table as well. And it's very important to sort of understand where you are professionally and how you also can add value to members of your cohort as well.
Great, thank you for that. Question for Ricardo specifically, only because you've graduated, Ricardo. So nothing against you, Abby. Someone is asking, has your professional life changed in any way before and after you completed the program, or even during?
Well, basically, during the process, I actually changed career because I wanted to do something different and move to a startup environment, something that I've never done before. But I don't think it's actually, it's not something that happens, you finish and it's done. It's a process. The thing that I can assure you, you will see the world differently. This is what I can assure you as soon as you finish. It doesn't transform life from night to day or day to night in an instant. It's just something that will make you evolve. You'll be more feasible for different positions if you want to apply. Of course, people will value the MBA if you want to have a career change or move up the ladder to a different job. But don't expect that the MBA, as soon as you finish, it will change your life immediately. It doesn't, but it will change your life in terms of thought. Yeah, immediately. And then it will allow you to reach different goals in your life, for sure. You have the tools. It's just, you need the willing. That's it.
Definitely. And it's interesting, Abby, that question was not asked to you, because you did talk about your manager already involving you in meetings, to share the learnings from your program. So it sounds like it's already having an impact on your professional life, where you're probably given maybe more of a voice, or maybe considered an expert already.
Absolutely. I don't think you have to wait till the end of the MBA to start to see value. You can immediately see value the moment you start. And obviously that increase in confidence, the way you think, comes across in meetings, when you're at work, and people start to see how, that experience is sort of molding you into a different person. And yeah, I think it comes out naturally. And if you've got, an excellent manager, then they would be able to spot that and obviously push you forward as well.
Great. So it seems like we're going to have to do this session in 5 and then 10 years time to see that long-term return investment on both of your programs, to see where you are with your startup as well, Ricardo. You may be too busy, famous, and important for us, though.
No, not at all.
Great. Well, I can't see any more questions from our audience, so I think we have come to the end of the session. So I will be staying online together with Nan to answer any admissions related questions from the audience. But I'd love to say a big thank you to both Ricardo and Abby for your time, for all the information you shared, for your openness, and like I said, we'd love to do another follow-up session with you in a few years' time to see where life has got you. Yeah. So thank you so much both for your time, and it was lovely to have you on this session.
Nice to be here as well. And for everyone else, good luck. It goes by really, really fast. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. So Nan is back online with me. So please do feel free to ask any admissions related questions. So we do still have the question, I don't know if that was picked up, about advice about approaching your employer. So we do actually have probably about 25–30% of each of our intakes, certainly on the global MBA program, sponsored by their company. So it is something that we work with quite a lot. We're happy to support you in approaching your employer so we can help you in constructing a business case to really sum up how what the MBA provides, how it will be relevant to your organization, to your sector. We can try to locate alumni within your organization or certainly within the same sector just to help you put that business case to life. So please do feel free to reach out to Nan or I after the webinar, and we can certainly have that conversation with you offline. Any more admissions related questions? Any questions about fees, program structure? Please feel free to use the Q&A area and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, I think we got a question about the workshop between
Okay.
like something about like, is the workshop compulsory? Is like how many days, like across 2 years, they need to attend in person? And is there any flexibility for the workshops?
Fantastic. Very, very good question. So we do pride ourselves on having very, very flexible format on all of our part-time MBA programs, which means that you do actually have a range of days that you're able to attend. So to give you an idea of flexibility, for example, on our 2-year global program, which is our most popular program, you do have flexibility of attending workshops on campus. So these are face-to-face days on campus, anything between 11 to 31 days. What that means for you, if you're somebody, for example, who does want that flexibility, who's got a very busy schedule, who maybe can't find that time to travel to Manchester or another campus location for that presence on campus, then you would opt towards the lesser part in terms of your day requirements. You'd be doing the 11 days. Or if you're somebody who has that flexibility, you really value that face-to-face interaction, then you can go towards the higher end, do all of your required face-to-face attendance and max it out to 31 days. And of course, anything in between. And that's the beauty of the program. It is an MBA which you can make unique to you by selecting the classes that are important to you, by selecting the days that you can commit to. And again, there is a degree of flexibility on the executive program. It is, however, less flexible because you do have the closed cohort structure. What that means is that you've got a small group of individuals, so it's a smaller cohort, and you do have that compulsory campus rotation. So the flexibility is slightly less than what we offer on the 2-year program. So yes, very good question. Oh, great. So we've got another question about open days to come and see the campus and attend the session. Thank you for that, Rinky. Yes, we will be doing open days. So we're going to have one coming up in November. So that will be on campus in Manchester. So a date for that will be publicized on our website. If you're not on our mailing list, please do reach out to me or Nan after the session, and we'll make sure we add you to our list just so you can receive updates on our events. So yes, the open campus events are a great opportunity for you, not just to see the campus, obviously meet Nan and I in person, which is amazing, but also to meet other people like you who are considering the program, considering joining the same intake as you, and actually start building that network early. If you are looking at our website and you see a campus day and you think, oh, it's a shame I can't make it, we can host you on campus. That's not a problem at all. Please do reach out to us. We can organize like a mini visit for you. You can maybe meet some of the academics. If the students are on campus, you can meet some of the students and you can speak to some of the admissions team as well. So again, please feel free to reach out to us and we can organize that campus visit for you outside of the event dates.
Great. So as we went through the webinar, I just got a few small questions like, the entry requirements or any GPA requirements or how many years work experience are required. So yeah, I will send out a follow-up emails in the next couple of days. So with the recording of this session, and also, so please do email me back if you have any inquiries, like send me your personal profile, like your CV, your LinkedIn profile. I'll be more than happy to just set up a one-to-one consultation with yourself to just like informally assess your eligibility for the program as well. So yeah.
Great. And I think just picking up on, what Abby and Ricardo were saying, and Nan and I do have the experience of working in the team, of working with our students. So we would be able to give you that informed advice of whether the MBA is the right qualification for you and also whether it's at the right time in your career for you. And that's super important. Also, it saves a lot of time on admission. So instead of you being disappointed during the admission process, we'll be able to give you that indication of your eligibility and your likely chances of success. So it's super important to have that preliminary discussion with us or one of the team. If you're already in contact with somebody else from the team, please do carry on that conversation directly. Any more questions? No, I think we've exhausted all the questions. We'll probably end the session there. As Nan mentioned, she will certainly be following up with all of you and she will share a recording of this session. And of course, feel free to reach out to either of us or one of the team directly. Would love to speak to you more and tell you more about fantastic MBA offering. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Nan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.